Hey y'all, hi, and welcome once again to my boudoir / closet. I have kind of exciting and maybe unusual for me video for you today. Basically, there's this image that I've actually talked about on camera before. It's a fashion inspo image that I really love, and I managed to track down and purchase the exact garments in the image. Usually when I take inspiration from fashion images, it's just that. I'm trying to shop my closet for things that I can use to replicate the look of what's in those images. Or, if they're expensive or high-end garments, I'm cobbling together something similar from secondhand things or less expensive things. And I actually did buy these things secondhand. They are designer garments, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to buy them during the season when they were released, when they were on the runway, when they were new. That's what's making this video possible, but it's still kind of the what I bought versus what I got, or what I expected, expectation versus reality, that kind of thing. And it'll definitely be a jumping off point to talk about the kinds of things we take into consideration when we decide to make purchases, especially when the things are particularly alluring because we've seen them online or because they have been our inspiration, because they've generated to some degree a fantasy. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Hannah. I really love making videos about fashion. This is primarily a beauty channel. I launched it as a beauty channel, and most of my content is about makeup, but I have been making some forays into fashion content lately, and I'm hoping to do more of this. Just like I do when I talk about makeup, when I talk about fashion, I tend to take the angle of being thoughtful about consumerism, prioritizing quality over quantity. In general, I find that I'm happier when I buy and use fewer, nicer things. And if that sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. So the image in question, I'll put it up on the screen right now. So here's the story of what happened. I had saved this image. I had saved a bunch of other images that are kind of related to it on my Pinterest board way before No Buy July, back in June. This might even have started earlier than that. I was thinking about making a purchase or two kind of into that space of what I think I want for myself in fashion in the coming years. So based on my passion for this image, I started looking for a sweater that looks like this and kind of looking for some pants that were in this color. So I was searching search terms, long sleeve, extra deep V pink sweater, ultra deep V pink sweater, because I think that the thing that makes this sweater stand apart to me, the thing that makes it extra alluring, is how very, very deep and sharp the V-neck goes. There are a lot of oversized slouchy pink V-neck sweaters out there, but it's hard to find one that has this really deep V that goes all the way down, kind of halfway to the belly button, and reveals so much of the clavicle and chest. And the more I searched, the more I realized that it was that kind of distinctive and slightly odd structural factor that was making me so passionate about this sweater. Then it occurred to me to try to figure out what actual sweater this actual one was. That wasn't my first impulse. My first impulse was to look for something like it. But then I was like, what if I looked for it? So according to the caption on the saved Pinterest image, this image comes from a campaign for the brand TIBI. And I think it must have been several years ago, because when I did turn up the garments, they were being resold for a fraction of the price that they originally cost. And I think it's just because they're several seasons out of date. I found it listed on Poshmark in a size small. I would have preferred a size medium, because for things to really be comfortably oversized on me, they usually have to be a medium or a larger, even though I think technically in tops, I'm a small. But because it's an oversized garment in nature, I thought that a small might work. It said it was in good used condition, and it was listed for around $50. I didn't buy it right away, of course, because I tend to wish list and wait with things, but it got me thinking that it might not just be a good investment for me in my wardrobe to purchase this sweater, but that it might make a really interesting video if I could track down both pieces of the outfit and buy them and then react to that. So I went searching for the pants, which were a little bit harder to find, but eventually I did find them. And I think that from the image, you can't really tell everything that's going on with these pants. When I looked them up and I started finding them listed mostly on eBay, I found a couple of pairs of these pants listed on eBay. I learned that these pants are actually designed to be either incredibly drop crotched as they're being worn in this image, like really, really low on the waist and really slouchy, or worn very high-waisted, like a paper bag style, and they come with a belt that you can't see in this image. You can use to cinch the waist so that that really, really long crotch can be taken advantage of to cause them to be either very high-waisted pants or very low-waisted, slouchy, ultra-long pants. And I have quite long legs and an extremely long waist. I love a drop crotch style, and it's hard for me ever to find pants that are high-waisted enough. So as soon as I saw that that's what these pants were actually designed to do, all my little antennas and hairs stood up and I was like, wait a second, I might really be onto something here. Then my mind was whirring, and at this point, it's a little bit hard for me to know what I would have done if I didn't have a YouTube channel. Because at this point I was like, okay, if I buy these two garments, that will make a crack video. It'll be really exciting to put this outfit on camera and talk about whether or not it is what I thought it would be. And I ended up proceeding full steam ahead, buying the sweater for I think a little less than $50 from Poshmark. I think I made an offer and got a good deal on it. And the pants for actually around $100 on eBay. I believe that as designer pants, they were originally like $400 or $500, and they were new with tags, which made me a little bit more willing to do that. But overall, you know, it was a bite out of my personal budget. I didn't use my budget for self-sponsored review on this. I bought them for myself, and I'm sure that my decision to actually go ahead and do it was largely influenced by the fact that I knew that I was going to be making this video. I'm just sharing that with you because I talk a lot about my personal decision-making process when it comes to buying stuff, especially beautiful things, especially alluring garments. And I want it to be totally clear that my personal decision-making process on this occasion was sullied by the excitement of being able to make this video. But when I try on the garments, which I haven't done yet, I'm going to talk about whether or not I think that they would have been good decisions for me if I didn't have a YouTube channel. I totally forgot I was going to put these pants on before I filmed because I want to show them to you because they are the Print Fresh tall pajama pant. And I've been meaning to talk about this on camera forever since they first started selling tall length pants, and I've never gotten around to it. So today's the day. Okay, let's bring out the two stars of the show. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I have heroically resisted putting this outfit on. Here's the sweater. And again, this one was listed on Poshmark as in good used condition. It's an alpaca polyamide blend. I always check the fabric contents of the clothes that I'm buying before I buy them because that shows me how difficult or easy they're going to be to take care of and how well they are likely to stand up over time. I really like wool. I like alpaca. In my experience, alpaca is a good base content for a sweater when it's blended with something synthetic because alpaca has this really interesting quality. It can sort of pill or become fuzzy without it looking ratty because it has kind of a fuzzy texture, a kind of imperfect, casually fuzzy finish to begin with. Some kinds of really fine wool like cashmere, when they get pilly and fuzzy over time, they are really showing their age. And you know, 3 or 4 years after you buy the sweater, it's going to actually look not as fresh, not as lovely as it looked before. And you know, you can remove the pills with a deep piller, be meticulous, take good care of it, make it look as good as new, but it takes more labor. Alpaca, on the other hand, especially if it's blended with a touch of something synthetic like polyamide, it tends to just look the way that it looked the day it was born for years. And I have had some sweaters that were made out of a blend similar to to this that held up really well over time. So that gave me confidence in purchasing this sweater. I would probably have gotten it anyway because of this video, but if I weren't making this video and I was trying to decide, that would have been one of the things that really helped me decide. It says that it's dry clean only. However, because it just has the two contents in it, alpaca and polyamide, and I have had sweaters made out of that exact blend before, I feel pretty confident that I can hand wash this in cold water, squeeze the water out, lay it flat to dry, and that it's going to be fine. And for me, because I love to wear sweaters with nothing underneath them, and because I'm a sweaty bee and I sweat into my sweaters and I need to be able to wash them, that is another thing that makes a huge difference to me when it comes to whether or not this is a practical purchase. So I gave you some close-ups of the tags and the texture of the sweater, and I tried to give you an especially good close-up of the underarm area because that's where a sweater like this is likely to show pilling first and worst. I definitely think that it has been worn. I think that whoever had it before me, whoever sold it to me, did enjoy it. And it may be that the slight fuzziness on the surface of it is enhanced compared to how it would have been if I'd bought it new. But again, because I know the fabric, I was expecting that, and I wasn't disappointed when it came in the mail. When buying secondhand clothes, it's really helpful to have some knowledge about fabric content, what you like, what works for you, what holds up over time. I happen to know a lot about fabric because I used to work with fabric as part of my job, but I think that most of my knowledge, especially the knowledge that I'm employing here, comes from having paid close attention to the fabric content of the clothes that I have owned in the past. So when I really loved a sweater, when I was really impressed by it, I've paid attention to whether it's 100% wool or whether it's alpaca or whether it's cotton. I know from experience that acrylic in sweaters, straight up acrylic, especially if a sweater's made from 100% acrylic, it's not going to feel good to me and it's not going to look good after the first winter. So I'm very excited about this. I'm excited to see how it looks. I feel like, again, even if I wasn't making this video, I feel like this would have checked all the boxes actually for a good secondhand purchase, and I might have ended up buying it anyway. Let's take a close look at the pants. I read a lot about these pants, not just on the eBay listing from which I purchased this pair, but on other listings that I found, because I found these pants listed in a couple of different sizes in a couple of different places on the secondhand market. That was how I learned about the two ways that one can wear these pants. There are actually two rows of belt loops. So the belt is currently through the bottom row to cinch it to kind of a paper bag effect. There's also this top row of belt loops if you want the belt, but you want to wear it slouchy and low on the waist. It was a little bit difficult to get a true sense of the color of these pants from the listings. This is a difficult color to photograph, but of course I had my reference image and I just decided to trust that that was a good representation. And indeed, it is a good representation. In person, they look exactly the way that they look in the image. This pair was listed as brand new with tags, and indeed it has its original TIBI tag on it. And I think that this is the kind of tag that can't be removed without being cut. It seems like someone purchased them and kept them in a closet, but never wore them. I learned from reading the online listings that these pants are a polyester wool blend. I tend to prefer natural fibers. Polyester clothes aren't my favorite, but especially when it's like a half wool, half polyester in a pant, there is something to be said for the longevity factor. And in person, they feel exactly the way that I expected them to feel. Quite lightweight, but again, they have this feel of kind of wrinkle resistance, like they're going to drape beautifully pretty much no matter what. Overall, when it comes to fabric content, it could have been worse. However, there's one huge drawback to these when it comes to fabric content. And this is the thing that might have kept me from buying these if I wasn't filming this video. And that is that they, like the sweater, are dry clean only. But I feel a little bit less confident with these pants in my ability to defy what the tag says, clean them myself at home, and get a good result. I very, very rarely patronize a dry cleaner. And that means that I try not to buy things that absolutely have to be dry cleaned. I may someday take the risk and hand wash them in cold water. I think that the fabric itself, the poly wool blend, would be fine as long as I was gentle and again used cold water instead of agitating them in hot water, which would probably mess up the fabric. I think that the fabric itself would be fine. My worry would be about the finishing, like the way that the seams are laying, the pockets, the way that the pockets are interacting with the rest of the fabric. We'll see how they hold up over time. We'll see if I ever decide to risk it like a biscuit and hand wash them. And if I love them enough and I wear them enough and they get dirty enough, maybe I will dry clean them a couple of times. I ended up getting a 6, and luckily the person who was selling them had listed the waist measurements, which is so helpful. So I feel pretty confident that they're gonna fit. They feel very luxurious. They feel like the designer garment that they are. And I'm gonna stop talking now and put the outfit on. Okay, there are so many details about the outfit as it exists in the inspiration image that align perfectly with the way that it looks and feels to have it on, which is just really fun. It's so silly, but it's so fun. Let's start with what's great about it. So I do think that I love the remarkably deep V on the sweater. I think that that design detail is great. I do think that if I had my druthers, I would have gone with a medium because I would have liked for it to be even more kind of gigantic and for the V to be even deeper. It's like this lovely, stretchy, lightweight alpaca, a bit too hot to wear right now, like in the actual summer, but most seasons. I mean, it's going to be like a 3-season garment for me for sure. And you know, because it's secondhand and it's been worn already, it's not in pristine condition, and because I feel like the fabric is going to hold up well over time, it has this sort of unprecious quality about it that we usually don't get, at least I usually don't get when I spend a lot of money on a designer garment. I usually feel like I need to keep it precious, I need to protect it. And this, I feel like it could both be really special and high-end feeling depending on when and where I wear it, or feel like kind of a beater, kind of a wear around the house, like semi-lounge wear sweater, something that I would throw on a Saturday and curl up in and read a book. And I love it when a garment has fingers in both of those pies in my life. That's actually like my favorite thing. The pants, I feel I would be a little less likely to wear that casually just because honestly, y'all, they feel so nice. You can just feel the quality in them and the way that they've been constructed. And yet they've been constructed in this absurd, oversized silhouette. They fit well. If anything, a little bit on the big side. I was actually worried that they were going to be a little bit too small to have this intense slouchy quality, but I should not have worried. The sizing is definitely generous. If they had been any bigger, they would be falling off of me. But the slouchiness, I mean, it's exactly what we see in the image. I just feel like it's everything that I dreamed it would be and more to have such a slouchy drop crotch pair of pants, this like enormously oversized pair of pants. And they're clearly designed to have this sort of intense, dramatic structure, this like drapey, fluid, bizarre, oversized quality. I love about them everything that I fell in love with in the Pinterest image for sure. So in that way, reality has really met expectation. I mean, I'm actually surprised. I was excited when I first opened the packages, but I'm actually surprised by how much I feel like I've brought my Pinterest image to life, even though they're the exact garments. You know, often when you see something online and then you get it in person, it's quite different in a lot of specific ways, but this is just much more aligned with what I had hoped I would get than I expected it to be. There are some practical drawbacks. I think that the main one is probably that the pants are so insanely long, right? They're like dragging on the ground. The thing is, they're also dragging on the ground in the image, right? And the campaign image of the model is just that. It is something that was shot in a studio. It's not necessarily a suggestion for use because if she were to walk around the way that she is with the pants dragging all over the ground, they would get all torn up and dirty. And likewise, if I were to walk around in these pants like this, wearing flats like the model is in the image, then the bottoms of the pants would get all torn up and dirty. So I had to think about how I would style this outfit if I were going to wear it. And I think that what I'm going to do is put it on with a pair of flats to sort of style it in the way that I would if I were trying to look exactly like the model in the image. And then I'm going to put it on with a pair of heels because that's the only way that I would be able to wear these pants low on the waist like this without hemming them. So let's see how that looks. Okay, wild. They're so incredibly long. I actually love the way that they look with just the flats, like dragging all over the floor. I mean, there's something about that, like wearing pants way too big or like a kid wearing grown-up clothes type of uber ridiculous puddling all over the floor pant length. I mean, I like the sort of artistic aesthetic of it, but it's not practical, especially for pants that have to be dry cleaned. I mean, they would be in tatters by the end of the day if I were to like wear them to an event or something. Curiously, even with my highest heels on, when they're sitting as low as they can go on the waist, like at the most slouchy height on my waist, they're still too long. It's doable. They're not tripping me. I could wear them, but I do think that the hem would still take a little bit of a beating if I wore them that way. So just to show you how I could wear them like this with these heels without altering them, I brought them a little bit higher and cinched the waist a little bit. You're kind of seeing the other way that they can be worn. And it didn't change the overall silhouette too much. I think we definitely lost some of that really intense, extreme, sort of dramatic silhouette of the drop crotch, and they started to look a little bit more like a normal wide leg or drapey tailored trouser. But the overall effect is really similar to the original inspo, and it's something that I could wear like out on the street or to an event or something like that. However, given that when they are hiked up and cinched like that, they're still almost too long, and given that that low on the waist slouchy way of having them sit makes them too long to wear with any of my shoes, that makes me think that it might be worth it to hem them a little bit. Maybe not to pay to have it done, but just to press the hem as it exists up, like fold it under and press it, and maybe just tack it with some needle and thread to make them easier to wear without worrying that I'm going to ruin them. Let's try for a more summery outfit featuring the pants and a different top so that I can get out of this sweater for a while. Y'all, the absolute glory of these pants. I am in love. I did not expect this because I bought them because of the slouchy quality, like the first way that they can be worn, the way that we see in the inspo image from Pinterest. And I was excited about the possibilities of this like high-waisted paper bag situation, but I just wasn't expecting it to be everything I've ever dreamed, and like to suit me so well. I wasn't thinking about this part of it when I bought them and when I conceived of this video. But I've never had this before. I've never gotten to pull a pair of pants up this high on my waist, like all the way up basically to my natural waist, and then the paper bag waistband is jutting up past my natural waist. It's like a really vintage look, you know, like that sort of vintage sailor uniform inspired women's wear. I can't get enough of it. I love wearing it this way. So this bodysuit is one of my summer purchases. I'll link it below. I've been wearing it with everything. I absolutely love it. But there are so many things that could go with these pants worn in this style. You know, I even feel like I could dress it down with like a graphic tee, dress it up with some sort of, I don't know, bustier, silk satin cami tucked in. The possibilities are endless, and seeing them this way really makes me feel like I'm gonna be wearing these pants for the rest of my life, just like this, but you know, with different tops. First, when I put them on over the bodysuit, I pulled them up as high as they could go and like cinched the waist really, really tight. And I feel like I was pushing it when I had them on like that in a couple of ways. One, the size, like if they were a size down, a size 4, it probably would have worked better. But when I cinched them that tight, there was a little bit too much material and it just wasn't quite right. And also they were so high, they were coming up like right under my bust, and it was just a little bit wild. I was feeling myself, it was a little bit wild. Then I loosened the belt a little bit and I kind of let them relax down an inch or two right onto my natural waist. And I feel like that's the sweet spot for these pants. And I was still able to wear them without the hems brushing the floor with just sort of a regular mid-height pair of summer sandals. Heels. The color is everything to me. It's all kind of flooding back. I'm remembering how passionately I've been wanting to add a pair of pants in this color to my wardrobe now that I feel how well they wear in this application, you know what I mean? Like styled this way. And I'm actually feeling in this moment like these to me are the smash hit of the video, even though they were the risk and they were much more expensive, like twice as much as the sweater. If I had to pick one of these garments to keep. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm shocked, but I think I would keep the pants instead of the sweater. I'm going to see about styling them in just a couple of more ways, just for fun, like a couple of different tops. We can just see where they might go in their immediate and maybe in their distant future. Well, my friends, I feel like it's the beginning of a long and beautiful relationship, and I hope that that's the case. I loved every single one of those outfits that I just had on, and I actually feel like it doesn't need to stop there. I mean, it's like any bodysuit, you know what I mean? And I didn't even try them with a t-shirt either. I'm a little bit flabbergasted and very, very pleased. I actually don't think I was expecting to be so positive about either of these garments. I feel like the sweater, it's a little more straightforward. I'm definitely glad that I got it, but I have much more experience styling oversized V-neck sweaters. I will go ahead right now and do the same thing. I'll put the sweater on with a couple more other pieces in my wardrobe. I want to fully illustrate this part of the consideration that I make when I'm buying something, which is the versatility, like how much I can combine the new garment with things that I already own and how many different ways it can enliven what I have. What I just did with the pants and how it kind of opened my mind and gave me like a new way to wear a bunch of different things that I already own. That really blew my mind a little bit. I don't expect that it'll blow my mind as much with the sweater, but I think it'll still be fun to see. Okay, yes, it was really fun. I'm glad that I did it, even though it's getting really hot in here and the sweater is really quite warm. I feel like putting it on with those sweatpants, the kind of soft clay rose colored sweatpants, really gave me more of an appreciation for how soft of a pink the sweater is, the delicate character of that color when it's not being used in combination with a really strong red or coral. I think as soon as I started expanding my mind about that sweater, I started expanding it into the casual direction, like thinking about how I could wear it casually and more as loungewear. Then at the end, I threw on that skirt and those heels to kind of experiment with how it could be worn sort of as like a cheeky formal thing. And I don't know, I feel like that outfit was a little bit less successful, but you'll have to let me know what you think. I know that I haven't really been giving you information about the other things that I've worn, the other garments and the other accessories that I've used to style these two pieces as I've gone through the video. I'll put everything in the description box down below. But you know, this fashion content on my channel, it's not about telling you what to buy and where to buy it and getting you to buy it right now. It's really about hopefully inspiring you to think about new color combinations, silhouettes, things that you can do with what you have, and talking through the process around decision making when it comes to deciding what we're actually going to love forever, rather than just satisfying that immediate need for something new to stimulate us right in the moment. And I feel like with these garments, it was actually more of a success than I expected it to be, given that part of my motivation for actually following through with the impulse to buy them was the desire to make this video. I think that both of them are going to be more versatile than I expected them to be. And to me, I actually think that the takeaway here in this exact situation with this exact purchase, these two garments, is that Finding designer pieces that are really well made and that are made out of really good quality materials and that have very thoughtful design behind them. Finding them on the secondhand market so that you're not paying the hundreds and hundreds of dollars that they would have been new, but you're still getting the benefit of all of that thoughtfulness and the quality materials. It's a good strategy when it comes to putting together a closet that's going to endure, because it really is the design details and the fabric that was chosen that is making those pants feel like such a smash hit for me right now. You could take a similar fabric that's not as nice, like the same color, and try to make pants with the same general silhouette, like a wide leg slouchy pant, but end up with something far less gratifying and far less versatile. If it was fast fashion, if they were cutting corners to make a bunch of them and make them less expensive and just sell them one season and then have them go into the landfill and move on to the next thing. I started off thinking that this video was going to be about the difference between the fantasy and the reality, you know? And there were some slight differences, but it kind of ended up being like a proof of concept project when it comes to doing the legwork and seeking out really, really high quality, well-made garments on the secondhand market and buying them at a fraction of their original price. It's like a strategy that can work out really well. And I hope that in watching me go through this and talk it through, you were able to get some idea of what that legwork actually requires, what kind of developing of thought and knowledge one can do to make it more likely that purchases like this will be successful. I got a little bit derailed by my obsession with the pants, and so I hope that this video came together and was fun to watch. And if you have any suggestions for like where this kind of video might go in the future, how I might structure a video like this, let me know. Let me know what you'd like to see me do in this space. I hope you will subscribe and see where we'll go from here. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.